Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Sammy, United People's TV. It's Friday. It's not that cold where I am. I see you all moaning about how cold it is. To be fair, I am sat here with two jackets on. So that's probably why. But it's Friday. We've got Spurs on Sunday. A little bit later in the show, we're going to run through the starting 11. Well, actually, not the starting 11. I'm just going to have a bit of a preview of the game because my lunchtime video is going to be my starting 11. Today's main focus will be on United's search for a striker this summer after quite an important article from Laurie Whitwell yesterday from The Athletic. I'll run through that. Jim Ratcliffe met with the fan advisory board yesterday, flew in for talks, run through that. Speak about the fact that PSR rules are going to be in place again next season. What impact is that going to have on United? I'll run through that. We'll also speak about Anthony banging the goals in at Real Betis. And that's a good thing, right? I think so anyway. Although it might frustrate some United fans. You have to laugh a little bit. And as always, going to run through your comments that you fire in and engage with as many of you as I possibly can. Happy Valentine's, everybody. Go out and buy some flowers. Is that what I'm going to do after the show? Good morning to you, Gaz. Thank you very much, dude, for gifting 10 memberships to kick off the Friday vibes. Anyone else? You know when you get... It doesn't feel like an ulcer. Maybe it feels like a little bit of an ulcer. Right there. Right there. Really sore. Really annoying me. Anyway. Good morning to Stephanie, to Carl, and I can see you there as well. Josh, you'll be there lurking in the background. We've got Real Recognizery. We've got Maddie, good morning to you. Tony, we've got Stephen, Hugo. We've got Craig, Akash, who's wearing his United People's TV hat. Do you want to say something funny, Akash? I've lost mine. Can't bloody find it. I've been wanting to wear that hat for ages. I can't bloody find it. It's really, really annoying me, actually. Might have to get another one. Foxy's saying, gutted, you missed yesterday's stream. I apologise, everyone. It was weird. It just goes to show you how sort of part of routine it is. Like everyone's here at 10 a.m. and know exactly what time we'll be here. If I go live at any other time, everyone's like, what's that? Anyway, good morning to all of you. JC kicking off with 20. Woo! 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 20 gifted memberships. I don't know why I just made some noises. Yeah, Akash, I think you got lost in the move. Sod knows. So many of my possessions are somewhere in storage. I ain't got no idea. All right. Let's kick off the show and let's run through it. Now, this news has just come out. Manchester United's game against Fulham, obviously chosen for TV, naturally. When was the last time United had an FA Cup game that wasn't on TV? I don't even know. I wonder when that would be. I've got no idea. We're playing Fulham Sunday the 2nd of March at 4:30. So that's when our FA Cup 5th round tie is. City are playing Plymouth? Of course they are. Saturday kickoff. Sunday at 4:30 is what it is. Of course, today is map day, so I'm going to whip out the map later. And there were 2 games yesterday where it's worth us keeping an eye on. Here's one of them. And the result will definitely surprise you. Man United will play either AZ Alkmaar, Galatasaray, Midtjylland, or Real Sociedad in our round of 16 Europa League game. And they are the biggest games that we have got left this season. For sure they are. It's the only way we're getting into the Champions League. And that will make a difference in terms of the budget. From a financial... It's horrible to say this, but it's just the truth. The main reason we need to win the Europa League is financially, rather than United winning a European trophy, which should, of course, football should always be the priority. But we've won the Europa League. We've been to the final. Don't speak about that. Don't speak about the penalties. Winning the Europa League, winning the FA Cup, winning the League Cup will never be the measure of success as a Manchester United fan anymore. It's only the Premier League and the Champions League. But from a financial perspective, we need this competition. So anyway, AZ Alkmaar absolutely whooping Galatasaray yesterday. 4-1. Now, that doesn't mean the tie's over, but Galatasaray are going to have to pull something out the bag when they go home for the second leg. So AZ Alkmaar looking like they're going through, and unfortunately, Real Sociedad beating Midtjylland 2-1. So United will... I think there's a draw that happens as well. Because United could go top half of the bracket, bottom half of the bracket. We will face one of those two teams who wins. It looks like Real Sociedad at home for the second leg. you would expect them to follow through, and the Real Sociedad will be through. And then you've got AZ Alkmaar right now, who are winning 4-1 after the first leg. Let's find out. Now, something that happened yesterday, which I spoke about it this morning in the podcast that obviously everyone's listened to. I said it's really frustrating how much bureaucracy. I can't even say that bloody word. Bureaucracy. Well done, Sam. Nailed it. We have to sort of deal with and navigate as football fans now. There's so much off the pitch that affects your ability to have a good team on the pitch that you kind of have to try and keep in touch and up to date with everything that goes on. I suppose that's why you all tuned into the show here. But the PSR rules are going to be staying in the Premier League for one more year. What they were going to be replaced with was the same rules that UEFA have, right? Which are these. It was a couple of years ago when UEFA updated their rules. FFP, of course, did absolutely sweet FA. I think when PSG got found in breach of it, they just paid more money. Oh, yeah, great. That's exactly how you stop rich people being rich and flogging the rules. You just ask them to pay a fine, which, of course, they're going to pay. So because effectively right now, and this is the whole confusing part of it, you've got one set of rules in the Premier League, and you've got one set of rules in European competition, both existing at the same time, and they're different rules. So it's like you're playing in two competitions at the same time with two different rule sets and two different limitations on what you can and cannot do. And you've got to navigate that at the exact same time. So the concept of it was to scrap PSR, bring in the same squad cost ruling, which you can see what the rule is there. The cost control rule, well, spending, restricts spending on player and coach wages to 70% of club revenues. 420 million. If United's revenues are 600 million, 70% of that is 420, I think. Have I got it right? No. 70%. Yeah, because 10% would be 60 times 7, 42. Right? 420? I think I've got it right. Either way, it's just like numbers like, where the fuck am I looking? I don't know what's going on. How much can United spend? And the truth is, right, I would love to do a video where I do all my research. And that's what we do here in United People. Do all my research, pull all the numbers together, look at this, look at that, and say, right, ladies and gents, this is exactly how much United can spend this summer. Ta-da! You can't do it. It is literally impossible because everything changes. If United sell Anthony this summer, if United sell Rashford for X amount of money, if United sell Malacia or Shaw, the numbers are variable and completely change. Every single player that comes in or comes out, depending on what wages they're in. There's a multipliers apparently too. It's so mind-bogglingly variable that I cannot tell you how much United had to spend this summer. And I don't even think United could tell you. It's like when anybody comes out with saying, oh, United are going to have, and it will happen, call it like April time, we'll hear about Manchester United's budget being 100 million or something this summer. It's all going to be a guess. But the fact of the matter is that this is likely to be a problem for United, okay? Let's read what the article says. The Premier League's controversial PSR rules will remain in place after legal challenges force a delay on a replacement system. United, Newcastle and Villa are among the clubs that have cited PSR as a bad reason, but it's going to stay in place. And it's the Premier League, as much as I want City to lose in terms of their legal battle with the Premier League, if I was part of City's legal team, I would just be I'd be rubbing my hands together, watching the chaos that is the Premier League trying to do all of this. Delaying changes to PSR rules, bringing in PSR rules instead of FFP rules, changing their mind on this, changing their mind on that. The Premier League is... It's almost... embarrassing is the wrong word. It seems like the Premier League is semi-making it up as they go along, which would only empower City's legal team to be able to find loopholes and find ways out of their legal arguments with them. And I only just randomly thought about this the other day. Who pays for the Premier League's legal fees? Is it a case that if City win, then every other team in the Premier League is going to get like a legal bill saying, look, right, we're the league. We represent all of you. We lost in court to City. Now you're all going to have to pay, what, just over 5% of the legal bill each. Is that how it works? I got no idea. Either way, the boring conversations around finances and all that jazz, they're not going away anytime soon. And the fact that the Premier League has got different financial rules to UEFA is so utterly confusing. So confusing. And that's not going away for a while. Tom, thank you for gifting 5 memberships down there. Can you just go and, I don't know, sort out UEFA whilst you're at it? Just gift them something. Give them some knowledge. I don't know. Tell you what, ladies and gents, I'm actually hot. Whew. Got an electric blanket down here. You can't see it. Big up electric blanket. That's better. Under the legs, though. Right. Let's run through the main part of today's show, okay? And this is definitely a conversation. Look, we briefly had this conversation. Have I got a lump there? Let's go and gargle some salt. We had a conversation, was it yesterday? Was it the day before? On strikers. On main targets. On budgets. On who we'd like. On who we wouldn't like. I'm going to run through this article here from Laurie Whitwell from The Athletic yesterday with some more information. And the conversation goes a little bit further. And this is the main name, I would argue, on the list of probably like 80%-ish of United fans. I think a lot of United fans, well, not a lot, but some United fans want Victor Osimhen. Some United fans want Victor Gyokeres, and there's other strikers as well that are named. But Gyokeres is easily the people's choice. Now, in our conversation we had the other day, I said, and this is something that it's not rocket science to know that it's very unlikely that United make a move for Gyokeres. I said it to you 2 days ago. You knew it yourself. And if you just look at the numbers and you really don't get angry, hot-headed. If the Glazers just pay off the debt, which they are not going... No, the Glazers aren't going to ever pay off the fucking debt. INEOS aren't going to do it until they own a certain percentage of the football club. That's not going to happen. You can scream and shout about it from the rooftops, foaming at the mouth, spewing if you want. It is not going to happen. Oh, but Qatar would have done it. Cool. You're speaking about a fairy there, basically. Something mystical that didn't happen, that didn't exist, that never existed, that never put up the money that the Glazers wanted. But Victor Gyokeres, all right, this is what the Athletic is saying here. Saying it is considered unlikely that Gyokeres follows Amorim to Old Trafford. And down there, speaking about the fact that he wants Champions League football, speaking about the fact that, United probably won't have that. And also that United would be reluctant to commit that type of money to a player who turns 27 in June. And there's going to be people spewing and foaming at them, angry. And I'm telling you, the easiest language to exist in online is anger, is frustration. The easiest thing to do is point and shout at something that you're angry about. The more difficult thing to do is to provide a solution, is to actually talk about, well, that's the truth. And I'm not happy. Am I happy for the fact that we can't go after Gyokeres? Why would I be? Why would I be? I want United to go and sign the best in the world, in every position. But we're so far off that. And people just, I think, is it partly that people just won't accept that? I don't know what it is. Is it people really genuinely think that, I suppose that people still do. They still feel that if the Qataris come in, the debt would have got cleared off, and we'd be flying right now. Apart from the fact that you look at Newcastle, who also are owned by the richest Middle Eastern state in the world, and they can't spend anything because of the same rules. But when you just look at the fact that United, now you might not like it, but I can explain to you what United's transfer strategy is. The types of players we're going after, the ages of players we're going after, the profiles of players we're going after. And Victor Gyokeres at 27, now it could work out. It could well work out. But you know what United probably quite literally can't afford right now? Any more fuck-ups. Any more expensive cock-ups. Now, I'm not here saying that Victor Gyokeres would be a cock-up, because I don't think he would be at all. But for the fact that if we were to sign him, you're looking at somewhere in the region of 60 to 70 million-ish. Is that fair? I think that's fair, given the fact that Arsenal are going to be after a striker, and Chelsea. 60 to 70 million, and it could work out, but it might not. And then you spent 60 to 70 million on a 27-year-old that you are therefore, if it doesn't work out and in 2 years' time you try to move him on, you're going to get what? 15 million, maybe? We can't afford that. We cannot afford that. Hence why conversations... Look, the same conversation can't be had about Benjamin Sesko because of his profile, because of his age. He is 21 years old. 21? I think he's 21. How much do you think Sesko costs? You can pop that in the comments. I would probably put Sesko in and around the same price point. 60-ish million. I don't know whether there's actually a release clause in his contract. And like Daz, I don't know whether you're saying this to troll me, okay? And I don't know whether you're saying it just to troll yourself. Personally, I don't believe we're broke. And I think what you've said there is probably what some United fans do genuinely feel like. What do you mean you don't believe we're broke? Do you want me to show you the accounts, the official, published, factual, end of year Manchester United accounts, where we have lost money every single year for the last 5 years, where the cash in our bank account has dropped from around about 300 million to what, 70? What do you mean you don't believe we're broke? The numbers are all there. And that's what I mean. Like, United fans, you can just, nah, we're not broke. Nah, we can spend 300 million. We can spend 300 million on signings. Nah, we're not. What do you mean we're not broke? We can't get the money in the club. United's cash flow is broken. Like, you can word it however you want. We do not have the liquidity to spend that money. That's the issue. And Dad, I'm not picking on you, Daz, but I genuinely think there are a lot of United fans who are sitting here kind of refusing to believe the reality of how bad our finances are. And the INEOS are all Scrooges, and if it wasn't INEOS, it was someone else who was just spending money, that would solve it all. If you got someone in who didn't give a sweet just didn't care about their finances and just wanted to charitably dump 600 million to clear off our debt, then great, you find that person. Man, it's so frustrating how a club of our size, our magnitude, we are still one of the 3 biggest clubs in the world. It's Real Madrid, it's Barcelona, it's Manchester United. and we're here penny pinching. Like, do you understand the scale of financial negligence that requires and that takes? It's mind-boggling. It's really mind-boggling. And we had a conversation about Liam Delap the other day, right? When we were talking about Victor Gyokeres. And people are going to scoff and turn their nose up. And you know what? I think those same fans would, hypothetically, if Brighton were to sign Liam Delap this summer, and he was to go on to score 15 goals next year, those same fans would be like, well, why is it that why are United going after like the big names like Gyokeres and why can't they go after players like Delap? And why is it we can't do this? The exact same fans would do that. Liam Delap strikes me, profile-wise, he can score in the Premier League-wise. He's doing it in a very, very bad Ipswich team. Pretty damn bad Ipswich team, let's be completely honest. There's a lot of boxes that get ticked. But even Liam Delap would cost, what, 40 million? I'm guessing. How much do you think Liam Delap would cost? About 40 million is what I would guess. Let me go up here and see how much you think Sesko would go for. 50 million plus, about 60 to 70, says David. 55 million, says I'm Legend. Ryan, again, you're coming back in saying INEOS aren't broke. You know the revenues that INEOS have got, even the profits that they're making. But it's not about how rich you're... Again, the Newcastle example is perfect. It's not about how rich your owner is. It's about how much they can actually spend because of financial stipulations, rules, regulations. How much can be injected? How much can actually... Because of City, these rules have changed, and they should have changed. And I'm happy that they are changing. But it kind of puts United at a bit of a downer a little bit. Obviously, it does depend if Ipswich get relegated. I completely understand that. We've got prices between 35 and 40 from Stu, 40 million most, 35 if they go down, north of 50, someone saying there, Premier League tax. It's at least 40 million, I think, right? Yep, one problem with Delap is that City have got a buyback clause. I think that's 40 million. And I wouldn't really say it's a problem because I don't think City are going to go and spend 40 million on a striker. They've just signed Mamouche. Did they sign Mamouche as a striker? I mean, I kind of presume they did. Don't actually know. I know he played wide, didn't he? Was it Eintracht Frankfurt? They got Haaland, who's just signed a 496-year contract. So I don't really think they're going to be going after him. How much did Isaac cost Newcastle? I can't remember. They signed him, I think, from Real Sociedad. That worked out. But Liam Delap, right? You go here and Laurie Whitwell saying, look, a more plausible target is probably Liam Delap. Jason Wilcox was academy director at City when Delap joined from Derby. And I think it is a more feasible target. Richard saying having another young striker in the team isn't going to benefit the inexperienced Haaland and Xerxes. And that's where you're going to get... I think the striker position is probably the hardest one to predict. Was Isaac 60, 70 mil? Damn. I didn't know it was that much. Fair play. Fair play. It's like with... You got Gyokeres here. We just had a little conversation about Sesko and a conversation about Liam Delap. United, the strategy is clear, right? Signing players who are, let's say, 22 or under, who have got qualities, sure, but they're not the finished article, and they need good coaching. They need a good environment, and with both of those, they will turn into far better players who, you know, become better players for your team. And if it doesn't work out, then you're able to sell that player probably for more than a profit. Well, no, you can't get more than a profit, but probably for a profit, more than you paid for them. And Gyokeres wouldn't tick that box. If United hypothetically were to sign Gyokeres in the summer, that's the most expensive he will ever be. Even if he came to United and scored 30 goals for 3 consecutive seasons, you'd still make a loss in him. Of course, if he does that, then your football club is in a far, far better position. But I've already said this, and I'll say this again and again and again. If we were to sign Gyokeres tomorrow, he would look nothing like the Gyokeres that's at Sporting. We wouldn't all of a sudden be scoring 3 goals a game. A large portion of Manchester United's problems right now exist around the striker. Højlund is a problem. Xerxes is a problem. The striker is a problem. But you couldn't drop an elite level striker in this team right now and expect them to score 20, 30 goals because it just wouldn't happen. You just get frustrated that they weren't getting the service and the conversation would move elsewhere. So that Liam Delap might be a conversation. I don't think Brian Mbuemo should be a conversation, all right? Saying that United have scouted Brian Mbuemo, the most recent time being Brentford's game against Spurs on February the 2nd. He's 25, so he's probably on the edge of what you can go for if you're operating that younger signings policy. But the Premier League tax that would come with Brian Mbuemo would be nutty. How much do you think Brian Mbuemo? Hypothetically, he leaves Brentford in the summer. I'm not saying he joins United, but he goes somewhere else. How much do you think he'll cost? Matheus Cunha, he's just signed a new contract, and you know that the release clause, I think, is 63 million. So I think you can rule that one out. Morgan Rogers would be more expensive than all of them. I think Morgan Rogers is north of 70 million. So you can rule him out. And Mbuemo being perfect for the left 10. Yeah. No, no. I'm not saying he's not perfect for the left 10, but I'm just saying the amount he would cost. I'm just saying no. People saying Osimhen in the comments. I wonder what the price of Osimhen would be. Osimhen is a perfect example of when to know when to sell as a football club. Napoli balls that up massively. They refused. They did exactly what Dortmund did with Sancho when United came in for him. Just outpriced him from a move. And then the next season, it all sort of... They didn't win the title the next season. And then the following season, Kvaratskhelia left. And then the whole relationship with Osimhen's fallen out. And the player that they thought was worth 120 mil now is on loan at Galatasaray. Well done there. You nailed that. And you're talking about fixing the middle first. Well, I don't think there's going to be a lot of fans United that agree with you. Or maybe there are. This is the thing with United. You can't look and go, if you sign a striker, we're great. Hell no. So many problems. Lots of you saying 60 plus for Mbuemo. I think I agree with you. 50 to 70, 45 to 50. I don't think so. At least 60 mil. So I think you can rule him out. And I'm going to say this here, right? This is the definition of what I said earlier about how it's so much easier in online language to just point and shout at something. What do you mean United are looking at Jamie Vardy or Dominic Calvert-Lewin? Have our standards fallen so much that we are looking at these? We're not. Literally all he said, given United's financial position, there might be a temptation to look at the free agency market. Okay, let me, as a journalist, take a look at who's available as a free agent. Well, Dominic Calvert-Lewin is and Jamie Vardy is. They're strikers. I'll put them in. At no point is there even a hint or a suggestion that United are looking at Jamie Vardy, because we're not fucking looking at Jamie Vardy. That is the currency of just angry shouting at a screen for no reason, just to rile up fans. That is the definition of it. We're not looking at Jamie fucking Vardy, people. We definitely will look at the free agent market over summer. Darren saying didn't realise Vardy's still only 38. Should go and sign him. Sod that. We'd like him for the shithousery though. He doesn't mess about. But would I, Jonathan David? Again, Jonathan David could be a conversation that happens. If you're looking at the free agency market for strikers, you're going to be looking at him. I would love United to sign Gyokeres this summer. Who wouldn't? How old was Robin van Persie when he joined in 2013? I'm going to guess 20... Was he 29? I feel like he was 29. Of course, we won the league with him because we finished second, then we signed the league's best striker. Boom. I would love to sign Gyokeres, but it was never going to happen. and I'm not saying this is a captain hindsight off the back of this article from The Athletic. We had this conversation 2 days ago. I would love to sign Gyokeres, but we have wanted our football club to have a transfer strategy, to have a vision, to have a mindset, to know what they want going into a window rather than just chopping and changing and flipping and flopping. We have one. And now that we have one, and Gyokeres doesn't fit that, there's some angry fans who aren't looking at the numbers, who are thinking that Manchester United still should just be able to sign who we want, when we want. And it's just not true. And because of the age of Gyokeres, look, if United... Let's say this was Amorim's second summer, maybe third summer, one of those two, and the squad was far more complete, far more secure. It's probably at that point where you have a conversation about bringing a player like Gyokeres in. I go back and I speak about Liverpool when they had a really good squad, but they were missing a goalkeeper, they were missing a centre-back, so they go and sign Alisson, they go and sign Van Dijk, and it goes plug. Oh my God, we've got a team. That's when you go out and spend that amount of money on a player of that age. It's a ready-made signing right now that fixes the problem that we have. We can't do that as a football club right now. We can't afford to do that because of if it doesn't work, we're screwed again. All the chickens are coming home to roost, right? All the stuff that the Glazers have done, all the mistakes that we've made previously in transfer windows, all the £300 million. I'll say that again. £300 million that we owe other clubs for players we've already signed. It's like DFS knocking on your door. Yeah, you know that £90 million sofa that you bought last year and you've only paid 20 mil for? You owe us another 40 mil. I don't know when, hand on heart, I don't know when. In fact, I'll ask you this question. I think this is the $1 million question. Oh, millions dollar question. Yep, 154 million of that is due this year. Correct, Akash. Again, United aren't broke though, right? United aren't broke. We've got loads of cash. Why is it we can't go out and sign these players? But until you look at the numbers. How many years, or give me a year. When do you think we can exist as United fans and as a football club without talking about the finances of our club? When do you think we're going to be financially secure again? That we can spend the 600 million revenue that we make every year? How far off it do you think we are? Because we're in year one of it now. And it's bad. It's really, really brutal. All the cuts that have happened, all the players that we're going to have to sell, all the cheaper signings we're going to have to make, just everything. And of course, until the debt leaves, that hanging at 60 million a year, that won't be paid off by INEOS until they own more than 50% of the club. I know it would make you feel better, but if INEOS paid it off tomorrow, and then all of a sudden, the Glazers find a seller for the club, a buyer for the club, what, INEOS are just going to sink 600 million, knowing that the Glazers could do that? You wouldn't. I know you would want them to, but you wouldn't. I'm going to see what you're saying down here. And yeah, there's a couple of people who just mentioned that, and that's the terrifying thing, right? We've got 2034 says Gaz, 2090, right now. 2030, 2035. Geez. Lots of you really are. Given at least 6 years, probably longer. But Carl is saying it down there. Some of you are saying it down there. The stadium, people. And I said this the other day, and I'll say it again now. All these conversations about how skint we are. It's like, I don't know. Like, imagine. What? Everyone likes analogies. For some reason, I always link it to a house because I'm trying to buy a bloody house. But United right now, financially, We were in a worse position last year than we are this year. So we've reached the bottom, and although it looks worse with the optics because so many people have been made redundant, ticket prices, all that jazz. And I'm not dismissing or downplaying the tickets, by the way. But I just mean everything that's happened has put United in a slightly better position than we were last year. So that was probably the bottom. But there's so much to go, so far to go to make us sustainable again. Oh my God, I hate the Glazers so much. You know how good the Glazers were for the rest of the Premier League? Do you know how much damage that fucking greedy family has done to our club? And again, anybody that tries to put INEOS in the same category as the Glazers, I literally just want to slap you upside the head. It is such an ignorant sentence to make. And it's not because I'm sitting here, oh, you're INEOS PR. Hell no, man. I call out plenty of stuff. No one's ever paid me anything. Why not? Pay me more. But to try and downplay the damage that the Glazers have done over 20 years, it just makes me angry. Really, really angry. Gaz, it's horrible when you say that. Talk about redundancies being marginal gains. It's not a marginal gain. You're looking at United saving around about 40 to 45 million with the latest round of redundancies. That's all we're doing. We're looking like, whatsoever can you look under for a quid? Whatsoever can you look under for, I was saving $1 million here, saving $1 million there. And look, this happened yesterday. And Complex, you're down there saying the fact that people say it shows that the Glazers got the perfect scapegoat. God, I remember all the arguments. I know I'm getting dragged into this, but I think it is. You can't ignore it, man. This is the sentiment among United fans right now. It's the conversations that are flowing through the fan base. It's the underbelly of discontent. Chris, I wish I could. Take a break from United for your mental health. Oh, we're way too deep for that, Chris. We are way too deep for that. If I was going to take a break from my mental health because of United, I would have done that a long time ago. I love the club. I'm in the privileged position of being able to cover what my club does on and off the pitch as my job, and I wouldn't change that for the world. But yeah, mentally it is rather exhausting. Rex, you're saying, I wish the Glazers would go on to Caleb Hammer's financial audit show. I need him to shout at them for their financial mismanagement. I got no idea who Caleb Hammer is. But Gary, I'm not here saying that INEOS are gods because they're far from it. Every decision that INEOS are making, whether you like it or not, is all geared towards the financial sustainability of our football club. Whether you agree or disagree with any redundancies, whether you agree or disagree with anything to do with ticket prices, all of it is designed to put more money back into the football club and to make United more sustainable. None of it is designed so INEOS can sneak out $1 million. INEOS literally can't take dividends. Dividends are banned. They can't take any money out of the club until the club is sold. That's the exit point for INEOS. The exit point for INEOS is Man United being worth more than they paid for their shares. And you know how they do that? United being good again. United winning again. United potentially having a new stadium. Are they just building the stadium just to make money and that's the only reason they bought the football club? Sure. Anyway, Ratcliffe met fans yesterday. I wish I could praise that and say, look, we've actually got an owner or a part owner who is actually meeting fans, fronting up a bit of communication face to face. And on the surface, I would. But then I would say, well, yeah, but you put unconsulted ticket price rises on members' tickets and remove concessions for kids and for OAPs without speaking to fans. So why am I going to praise you for meeting fans? It's sort of like the horse has already bolted. Like that's a good thing in isolation until you rewind and say, well, you shouldn't have done that first. It'd be interesting to find out if any of, I don't know how embargoed the fans advisory board meetings are. I think they largely are, but we'll find out. I'm going to go and try and read a few of your comments out down here. I know I've been what feels like shouting at you. I don't really mean to. Paul, you're saying the start reality is if the things were left the same as before INEOS came in, we would be looking at the same outcome as Glasgow Rangers. Now, you know what would have happened, Paul? And people keep talking about this, right? You know what? Where is it? Have I got a photo of him there? I think I do. You know what? Like, it's just another Glazer. If Ratcliffe and INEOS didn't come in, and they didn't, obviously, when INEOS tried to buy United originally, they tried to buy the Class B shares. I'm not going to tell you what happened, because you already know what happened. The Glazers said, it wasn't the Glazers said no. It was a New York Stock Exchange that said that would be illegal because it would downgrade the value of our shares. So then, tried to buy equal shares across all of them. And then, it got downgraded to a 27% takeover because the Glazers were demanding a shit ton of money. And then people were saying, but Sam, if they weren't there, then obviously the Qataris would have done it. The same Qataris that, A, weren't offering anywhere near enough for what the Glazers wanted because their price was ridiculous and inflated. And B, didn't actually have proof of funds. This is the reality. Alex, you're saying shouldn't have got into bed with them. All right, fuck me. Do you know what would have happened? Because the Glazers couldn't do it. The Glazers had stretched the cash of our club so much that they were screwed. If INEOS didn't come in, we would have been sold to one of those hedge funds. Well, partly anyway. I can't remember the names of them now. There was a really bad one. It would have just been a US hedge fund that came in and bought X percentage of the football club, and they would have legitimately been another set of Glazers. Just another set of greedy American businessmen and women who come in simply to make a profit and will do anything to try and get that profit. There wouldn't be no hands-on anything. I can't remember what the name of that... What? Elliot. Elliot was one of them. Thank you very much. Apollo was another one. That's what would have happened. That is what would have happened. Chris is saying, Sam, you're talking to us like it's our fault. This debt needs to go. INEOS aren't proving anything so far, just crap. I live in Manchester and I'm still waiting for the Manchester to be put back into us. This debt does need to go. This debt has always needed to go. But Chris, and I don't know how much I've got to stress this enough. Jim Ratcliffe could just put 600 mil of his own money in. Of course, in theory, he could just do that. Just pay off the debt. Done. It's done and dusted. Great. Why would he? Well, because he loves United. You wouldn't do that when the Glazers ultimately still have control. And I know people don't like that. And I know people look at the Qatar. The Qataris would have cleared it off. They said they were going to clear the debt. Yeah, the Qatari bid that didn't really exist. Yeah, good. It's just reminding me how exhausting the whole takeover conversation really was. Still is. And will be for some time, because our finances are they getting any better. There's quite a bit that I don't agree with in the way that they are going about things, but everything that INEOS have done so far is to try and put more money back into United to try and make the club more sustainable, because we've just been hemorrhaging cash for so long. You might not like it. That's the truth. All right. Speaking of things you might not like, or you might like, depending on how you are, if you can, just please, speaking of likes, drop a like on the video. Why not? Like, I don't mean to shout and moan at all of you. I get annoyed about a lot of how our club is still run. I get annoyed about a lot that INEOS have done. Like, it still just staggers me that they built up genuine goodwill with United fans in how they came into the club and how they approached it at the beginning. Of course, part of that was just goodwill because they weren't the Glazers. But just especially around the whole ticketing situation and with the new stadium conversation coming next. Like, to undo the goodwill and loyalty that fans have shown by going to games to then try and charge them more for said games. That's not worth the extra X amount of money it would put into the club, damaging that relationship. And that's one thing I'll never agree with that they've done. Anthony, eh? Doing it. Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Just cheer you up. Chelsea are going to pay us 25 mil for Sancho. No, it's all kind of not doom and it's not all doom and gloom, but it's arguments and debates and all that jazz. At least Chelsea are paying us 25 mil for Jadon Sancho. Huh? Come on. That should put a smiley face. It's not going to put a smiley face on many Chelsea fans, tell you that. But Anthony, 3 games in, 2 goals, 2 man of the match appearances in his first 2 games. And it can only be a good thing for United, really. I think so, anyway. I want to ask you in the comments here, right? What would you say is the absolute peak of what United could potentially get for Anthony this summer? How much do you think? Because again, I need to look into the PSR rules because I'm seeing loads of people telling me that unless United sell Anthony for 50 million this summer, he would go into the books as a loss because of PSR and amortization. We paid 86 million and we probably spread that over the course of his contract, so he would still go and then. So I mean, you got to be an accountant to be a football fan now. You have to be an accountant to have a conversation about a fucking transfer. Like, piss off. But you do. You really, really do. Especially when I'm trying to do a platform here and I'm trying to speak to people about it. I have to try and understand it all. I don't. A lot of the time. Akash, you're saying 30 mil. Mark, you're saying 30. Eugene, you're saying 30. Alex, you're saying 30. 50 mil highest. 45 mil, someone says down there. Mate, if United could get 30 mil for Anthony, that would be a touch. By the way, 30 mil would... People can go down here about 40, 50, 30. The most expensive signing the Real Betis have ever made was Giovanni Lo Celso, which I think was around about 30-ish million euros. So we're not going to get more than 30. Not going to happen. But it may well be that he doesn't go to Real Betis. Of course, if he nails it there, they're going to be the ones that want to sign him. If United could, that would be nice. 30 mil for Anthony. I would shake their hand, say thank you very much. All right. Now, last 5-10 minutes of the show, we've still got to speak about the Spurs game, by the way. Just kind of got caught in the conversation there around finances. Because it's just, I wish I could give you more clarity. But I can't. And that's the smoke and mirrors aspect of it. The fact that you can't just put an exact figure or numbers on anything. I think that's part of the problem. Now, Lisandro Martinez yesterday had surgery on his ACL injury. Torn ACL. I think there's different grades of ACL injuries, aren't there? You can have like a little rupture, you can have a little tear, and you can have just straight up, right, you've torn your ACL and it's snapped, which is the worst one. I'm not expecting to see Lisandro Martinez back on the pitch like Lisandro Martinez. And I wish I wasn't going to say this, but I've got big ifs about whether that's going to be possible now. But I don't think it's going to happen for 12 months. I think he's definitely gone for 2025. Anything about he's going to try to be back before, there's no way that he's going to rush back. There's no way. I reckon 12 months for Martinez, and I wish him the absolute best. But for somebody who has had to deal with the metatarsal, then the ball's up with the metatarsal. So that's 2 long layoffs. Then with the layoff when I think he did his meniscus ligament when someone sat on his leg. Was it West Ham? I think it was West Ham. What's the name of their right back? I think it was C. Kufal? Is that who it was? Might be. To then have this mentally will be really taxing for Martinez. So I wish him the absolute best. But I fear that he won't come back. Not in the same way that we saw him there. That's what I think. I want to say quick congratulations to Garnacho. That's him with his Puskas Award. Man, that's such a cool award to win, isn't it? Like, legitimately, you scored the best goal in all of football in the last 12 months. That's a pretty cool award. Has he not? I actually don't know off the top of my head. Has any United player ever won the Puskas Award before? I think off the top of my head. Ronaldo might have won it for the goal against Porto. That could have been it. What other ones would there be? Would Rooney's overhead against City be Puskas? Probably got nominated. Don't know if it won it though. Might have to go and check that out after. Anyway, congratulations to Garnacho. Quite a few of you are saying that Ronaldo did win it. Can I get that? Did I get that right? Come on. Come on. Come on. Right, anyway, let me cheer you. Well, one more thing here. I did my video on Chidowobi yesterday, and I called him Chidowobi for a reason, because I already knew this. When you speak about him, don't call him Chidowobi Martin. He wants the Martin name to be dropped, so just call him Chidowobi. All right? So that's just a little clarifier for a player that we will probably be talking about a lot more in the coming years, and I hope so. I can't wait to watch him play against Arsenal on the 8th of March. Oh, that's going to be fun. Right. Last 5 minutes of the show. Let's cheer everyone up and speak about the football. Whoop. Spurs on Sunday. What are you expecting? Fire it in the comments. I expected pure, unadulterated chaos when we played them in the League Cup game, and it's exactly what it was. It was 4-3. We were 3-0 down. It went to 3-2. Was it 4-3? I can't remember. It was. And then they scored. And was it 4-2? I think it was 4-2. Not 4-3. No, it was 4-3 because was it Johnny Evans got like a last second header? Ugh. Anyway, Spurs, as bad as our season has been, Spurs are worse. All right? Last 2 games they played, they got knocked out of 2 different cups. Postecoglou's team has been ravaged by injuries, just like Ten Hag's was, because of the style of football that you play. When you play full tilt football like that, it contributes to the injuries that you get. Now, there's been 9 days off. There's been 9 days off between Leicester and Spurs. And I'll speak about this more in my lunchtime preview that goes out, in the starting 11. This is where I want to see a performance. I think a performance is important here. The thing is, though, when you know you're going to play this Spurs team, do you really think that these players are going to have the confidence to play in and out of the back, around the back, and to control a game with the sort of pressing that Spurs are going to do? Or would you try and use the gaps that they leave with balls over the top? It's going to be interesting because maybe in this particular game, playing against Spurs and knowing how they play, just trying to play out the back would kind of be a little bit foolish. And playing more direct wouldn't just be a cop-out. It would be a way to exploit the gaps that they leave. That's going to be a little bit of a, interesting. But 9 days, the players should be fitter. The players should be less fatigued and ready for the game. We'll find out. Slow build-up's not going to help in this game. If you play slow against this Spurs team, you know what they're going to do to you. They're going to win the ball back in their final third. Let me see what else you're saying down here. Melcher, you're saying, thank you, Sam, for speaking the truth. I'm tired with Qatar. I think the thing that frustrates me the most when speaking about anything to do with INEOS or Qatar or numbers is it seemingly so many United fans just bury their head in the sand, pretend that the numbers aren't as bad as they are, and then just keep arguing about other things, ignoring the fact that all the finances and numbers are just staring you in the face. And maybe it's a lack of understanding. Or maybe it's just listening to other people. I don't quite know. But back to the football here. Ant saying play our own game, 1 and 2 touch football, rapid transitions. That's what I would love to see. That's ultimately what Amram is aiming for. And I keep saying this to people. Like, the way that we won away at Arsenal in the FA Cup, the way that we got the draw at Anfield, It's ultimately not how Amorim wants United to play. That was a deep back five, both games. Hitting on the counter, both games. He wants United to be on the front foot and to be steering the game. For United to be behind the wheel of every game. Will that start with Spurs on Sunday? It might do, but it may well be a game where we operate a slightly more direct approach to expose the gaps that we know Spurs will leave. They will play with a suicidal high line. That is how Spurs play. There is not going to be any change to how Spurs play. And that's kind of been the problem. It's either full tilt and we win, or full tilt and we lose. That's fine. I really hope that the training break is going to be a boost for us, because it was for the Liverpool game, was for the Spurs game. No, it was for the Liverpool game and the Arsenal game. But look, of course, don't act like I was ever going to forget. It's map day, people. After such a chill, relaxed conversation here this morning, let's get 3 of you added onto the map on Valentine's Day. Who's around the world? Eric, you're predicting a stinker from Bruno. You can have that yourself, mate, because if United win, Bruno's having a good game. Those two things, in my opinion, are always directly related. Rarely do United win a game of football when Bruno Fernandes plays poorly. I've got no idea where the map tunes are gone. I've lost them. Sorry, Naz. Better bip. We've got Official Freak. What a username. Tuning in from Portugal. Where's Braga in here? There it is. Braga. Boo! We've got John watching from Barwell in the UK. Any good bars in Barwell? I'm going to Suffolk for a couple of days next week. I know it's disgusting behaviour here, but on Tuesday and Wednesday, sue me. You're going to have to send in complaints, all right? There's not going to be live shows on Tuesday or Wednesday. It's shocking behaviour. I can't believe I'm doing that. We've got Doe watching from Dungarvan in Ireland, which sounds very Scottish. And maybe it's because my family's from Dundee. But look, I'm going to wrap that up. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I appreciate not everyone's always going to agree with what I say. And that's the beauty of opinions, I know that. And I like to think that I don't just dismiss stuff out of hand. There'll be stuff that I disagree with in the comments, but I'll kind of explain to you and why I disagree. I think it's genuinely a conversation that we have here, rather than sometimes I'm shouting at you, given. But it is what it is. We're all on the edge as United fans. And on Sunday at 4:30, we're going to be on the edge again. It's going to be one of those games. David, thank you very much for gifting 10 memberships to finish and wrap up the week. And I know I keep saying about this, but I promise you that more members stuff is coming. So please do keep continuing to contribute, to be generous, to get involved in the Discord, to help in whichever way you can. There's just a lot on. All right? But love you all. Thank you all for tuning in this week. I will be here on Monday with a live show. I'll be here later on today with the Spurs 11. Tomorrow, probably going to have a video on the striker situation, a bit more detail on that. Sunday, we've got the game against Spurs. Busy as always. Have a cracking weekend. And Tom, thank you for giving 5 more memberships to end the show. Cheers!